workers on Joe Biden. How do you go from being such a
bitch? And then what happens when they arrive at our borders? We who have erected the Statue of Liberty, they arrive at our borders and we say, go back to where you came from. That is inhumane and it is immoral.
5 minutes later.
Do not come. Do not come. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
You know, neo-Nazis marching in Charlottesville, they're good people on both sides. You know, that's a little bit beyond the pale. We did not see that Republican establishment say, hold on, time out, that's not acceptable, that's not who we are, but rather be cowed into accepting it, and then finally culminating in January 6th, where what originally was, oh, don't worry, this isn't going anywhere, we're just letting Trump and others vent. And then suddenly you now have large portions of an elected Congress going along with the falsehood that there were problems with the election.
And the leadership of the GOP, briefly for one night when they still had the sort of scent of fear in them, going against the president.
And then poof, suddenly everybody was back in line.
Hey, how come my penis gets big sometimes and points up in the air?
That's called an erection.
Sometimes I touch my penis because it feels good.
Sometimes when I'm in my bath or when Mom puts me to bed, I like to touch my vulva too.
You have a clitoris there, Kayla, that probably feels good to touch the same way Keith's penis feels good when he touches it. But have you ever noticed that older kids and grown-ups don't touch their private parts in public?
They don't?
That's right, Keith. It's okay to touch yourself and see how different body parts feel, but it's best to only do it in private.
Well, if private parts are so special, why do you cover them up?
Because they are private, silly.
That's right, Kayla.
Right there, all cops are bastards! All cops are bastards!
The local arrest history of 24-year-old Jared DeFerrari is growing. On Election Day 2020, investigators say he used a hammer to smash windows at 2 businesses and a Catholic church. This is surveillance video of the church being hit. DeFerrari was one of 10 people arrested during November 4th riots. A grand jury indicted him on riot, criminal mischief, burglary, and other charges December 31st. He was booked for criminal trespass with a firearm and released. Now, this latest bus incident and arrest with the frightening find of firepower that Portland police took in as evidence.
So you may be wondering, where is DeFerrari now? Well, he's out of jail. Despite all the firepower that police confiscated, he didn't use any of it, so the charges did not get him a spot in the Multnomah County Jail.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.
Well, you spoke several times before about ideological subversion. That is a phrase that I'm afraid some Americans don't fully understand.
It's a slow process which we call either ideological subversion or active measures, активные мероприятия in the language of the KGB, or psychological warfare. What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. It's not coyotes didn't bring them over. Their parents were with them.
The only people who benefit are coyotes. To folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
On Joe Biden. How do you go from being such a bitch?
Man, you know what I mean? I will venture to get you an answer on that, and maybe we can talk about it, and you'll circle back.
The administration is facing troubling statistics.
Is there a crime problem in this country?
Well, I would say certainly there is a guns problem.
A red state governor disputes that.
One thing they like to talk about is guns without recognizing that most of the gun crimes occur in inner city situations like in Chicago.
So today, Fox followed up.
Homicides up 113% in Minneapolis, up 38% in Philly, up 22% in Chicago. Just to clarify, the White House's position on this is that is mostly because of guns?
Well, first, I'm not sure what data you're looking at, but I think most data that is out there shows that there's actually been a rise in crime over the course of the last year, since the start of the pandemic, which actually predates President Biden taking office, to be totally clear.
Right now.
You're right, Peter, and that's why we are focused, we're focused on...
We look at the Middle East. I think it's about time we stop, those of us who support, as most of us do, Israel in this body, for apologizing for our support for Israel. There's no apology to be made. None. It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Were there not an Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
Exposure to true information does not matter anymore. A person who was demoralized is unable to assess true information. The facts tell nothing to him.